Imagine serving the greatest empire the world had ever known, marching under its banners, defending its borders, yet being forbidden from something deeply human, a family. For centuries, Roman soldiers were not allowed to legally marry while in active service, not because Rome hated families, but because it feared divided loyalty. To understand why, we must look at how the Roman army changed. In the early Republic, soldiers were citizens first, farmers, landowners, husbands. They fought when needed, then returned home to their fields and families. Marriage was natural, expected, even encouraged. Everything changed in 107 BC. The reforms of Gaius Marius transformed Rome's armies into a professional force. Soldiers now served for decades. The army became a lifelong career, not a seasonal duty. This created power, but also danger. A professional army could become loyal to its commanders instead of the state. After years of civil war, Emperor Augustus knew this better than anyone. His goal was stability, control, an army that obeyed Rome and him alone. Around the early 1st century AD, Augustus formalized a rule that would define military life for generations. Active duty soldiers could not legally marry while in service. The reasons were brutally practical. A married soldier had attachments beyond the legion, a wife, children, a home. Such ties could weaken discipline. A man with a family might hesitate before marching to a distant frontier or charging into hopeless combat. To Rome, family was not comfort, it was a liability. There was also cost. Supporting the families of hundreds of thousands of soldiers would drain the imperial treasury. By banning marriage, Rome avoided responsibility for soldiers' dependents. But law and life rarely align. Along the frontiers, soldiers formed relationships anyway. They lived with partners. They raised children. Around forts grew civilian settlements known as canabe. These were families in every sense except the legal one. The consequences were harsh. Children were considered illegitimate. They could not inherit property or citizenship. If a soldier died in battle, his family received nothing. Only after honorable retirement could a soldier legally marry, and by then, decades had passed. Roman historian Tacitus described military life as disciplined and relentless, but also lonely. Men served 25 years without a recognized home, without heirs, without legal family. By the late 2nd century AD, the system was cracking. Emperor Septimius Severus, himself a career soldier, understood the reality of the army. In 197 AD, he made a decisive change. Soldiers were finally allowed to marry while in service. This was not mercy, it was strategy. By recognizing soldiers' families, Severus secured their loyalty. Family became an anchor, not a weakness. The army grew more hereditary, more stable, and more deeply tied to Roman society itself. With one reform, Rome admitted the truth. Even an empire built on discipline cannot ignore human bonds forever. If this story made you think, support Chronolith History by liking the video, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who loves the hidden stories behind ancient power.